Hi, my name is Kathryn Crook, and I'm super excited to be talking to all of you today. My project was to bring free period products to the school bathrooms here at Concordia. So just to start, I want to talk a little bit about myself, and then I'll introduce my mentor. So outside of Honors Academy, I'm also involved in cross country and track. I do theater as well, and then I am also involved with DECA. I'm the co-president in DECA this year. I serve as a Koinonia leader and an FCA leader, and I'm also in NHS as well. So outside of Concordia, I attend my church, Redemption Bible Church. That's also where I've been doing my community service hours. Additionally, I really like to create art. I like to spend time with my family and friends. And I have a lawn mowing business, and I manage an Airbnb as well. So next year, I'm planning to go to Belmont University, and I'm planning to major in marketing while also doing the pre-med track, which I'm very excited about. So next, I'd like to introduce my mentor, Alissa Doehla. If she could come up. I didn't warn her that she had to come up, and so this, yeah. She had practice before this. So Alissa is my cross country and my track coach, and she's a Concordia alumni. She was a former professional athlete, but in my time running here at Concordia, she's been a mentor in more ways than one for me. She's been a really good sounding board for a lot of different ideas. She's helped me think through a lot of things. And so when I was looking for a mentor for this project, Alissa was kind of the first person that I thought of. We're very passionate about very similar things, so sometimes we'll get on runs and we'll get going. We'll start speeding up because we're just so passionate about how we feel. So. Yes, I asked Alissa, and she's been a very helpful sounding board as I've been going through this project. I would say that everyone needs an Alissa in their life. So thank you, Alissa. And then next, I kind of want to talk about why this project was kind of calling my name. So when you are looking to be in the Honors Academy, you have to submit an application. And so when I was a freshman, my application that I submitted was a proposal for how you would get free period products at Concordia. At the time, it was a pretty basic proposal, but it did feel like it was something that I had mentioned, and then it kind of just stuck in my mind ever since. So I've been thinking, well, that would be really cool if I could make that happen. So it kind of felt like a really cool full circle moment to be able to bring this to Concordia and do that as my senior project. Also, just personally, I've had situations where having period products in the bathrooms would have been really helpful. And additionally, I've just found myself to be passionate about the topic of women's health. I'm planning to become a doctor, and I'm hoping to specialize in women's health. So I'm pretty passionate about the issue. So I think getting to do something kind of in that field is really cool to me. So just to start on some background info on why this project is needed, basically. So there's this concept, this idea of this thing called period poverty, and that's the idea of not having access to either menstrual products or to the education around menstruation. So nationally, 1 in 4 students struggle to afford period products. And if you look at Allen County more specifically, about 17% of those students are below the poverty line. So it's pretty fair to assume that they are also struggling to afford those products. So if they're struggling to afford those products, they're having to make decisions of whether they should buy period products or whether they should buy necessities like food or other things like that. And that's a situation that we don't want to put students in. So what are the effects of period poverty? So it can lead to people using unsafe alternatives that are not good in the long run. It can also have a huge impact on school attendance. So up to 83% of students have reported missing school because they don't have period products that they need, which that's a shockingly high number. And then in addition to that, women can struggle and they can feel isolated when they don't have the support around this that they need. So this can lead to mental health issues, this can lead to depression, it can lead to anxiety, and then overall it can just, especially for younger teenage girls, it can really affect their perception of menstruation and that whole process, and it can make it much more negative in their eyes and make it an uncomfortable topic for them that they don't feel comfortable sharing about or asking for help with. And ultimately that's just isolating students even further, which makes it much harder for them to learn because 1, they maybe aren't in the classroom, or 2, they're just feeling isolated from where they would normally be. So specifically, why Concordia? I think this is a fair question to ask because, Concordia is a private school, so I think it'd be easy to say, oh, but that's maybe not an issue that we struggle with. But Concordia students may still experience period poverty. We have pretty similar demographics to other schools in the area, so I think it's fair to assume that there may be students who struggle with this. And then just on a more practical side, there's not many great solutions if you do like need period products and you don't have them in the school bathrooms. The solutions that are in place are not great. So there are, in a couple of bathrooms, there's pad and tampon machines, but in my time at Concordia, I don't think I've ever seen them be stocked. And Mrs. Walls is shaking her head no, so I'm thinking that maybe she hasn't seen them be stocked either. So, and then also, they're usually like 75 cents or a quarter. I can't think of a single student who carries around a quarter with them when they're going to the bathroom. If they had a quarter, they probably would have just, if they thought ahead to grab a quarter, they probably would have thought ahead to just grab a pad or a tampon. And so that solution is not very effective. There are free period products in the nurse's office, in Mrs. Oberlin's office, but due to like time constraints with passing periods or bathroom passes, it's really hard to realize that you need those products, get to the restroom, or get to the nurse's office, get back in like a timely manner. And so it just means that you're missing ultimately more class. So it's just challenging to get those things. And then in addition, if students are having an issue with this, some of them may not feel comfortable saying this to a teacher. I think especially if they're talking to a male teacher, I think a lot of girls that I've talked with would not feel comfortable sharing in that situation. So we just want to remove those barriers that would make this kind of like a frustrating topic for girls. Also just nationwide, as I was looking into this project, there has been a growing movement with different legislation in different states to ensure that free period products are available. So there's kind of been a rising trend with that. In about 25 states, there's now some sort of legislation that requires having free period products. So I think with this growing trend nationally, it felt like a really great moment to kind of hop on that bandwagon, even though Indiana does not have something like that at the moment. So ultimately with this project, I have 3 main goals. I want to make sure that, first of all, I want to make sure that products are accessible. So mostly this just means that we want these products to be free. We don't want there to be any barriers for students to be able to access these products, and we don't want to have anything getting in the way of that for any students who may struggle to afford them. But then we also just want accessible and you can get to them. This leads into my next point, my next goal, which is convenience. So as I mentioned, restroom breaks are limited by, you have 8-minute passing periods, but then you also have bathroom passes, which are timed, and you have 5 minutes. So again, if you realize you need products, it's impossible to get them in time. So I want to make sure that those products are convenient, that you can access them in the bathrooms when you need them. And then finally, I want to make sure that these products are discreet. So I think a large part of the shame that can lead to the mental health impacts that I referenced earlier is when students feel like they have to make a big deal about it or talk to a lot of people in order to get the products that they may need. So when there are like excessive steps in the way of that, there's more of a negative mental health impact. So we just want to make sure that students are able to get to these in a way where they don't really have to talk to anyone about it. They can just grab the products that they need and go on with their day. So all of this leads into the plan, how this is actually going to take place and how this is going to be implemented. So over the summer and like over the beginning of the school year, I've kind of just been researching different alternatives and trying to understand what's the most cost-effective, what's the most just effective in general solution that will allow me to achieve those 3 goals. So I decided to use like basically just plastic baskets in each of the bathrooms that would contain both pads and tampons, so that way students can have whatever their preference is. For a while I was looking into machines that would dispense these products, but those machines are quite expensive, and so that would nearly triple the estimated costs, and so I decided against that in favor of just keeping it simple and just having a basket. In addition, we've had issues with the machines being stocked, so it felt like just having the easiest possible thing, just putting products in a basket as opposed to having to like unlock a machine and things like that, would be much simpler. So all of these baskets would be placed in each bathroom at Concordia. This would be all of the academic bathrooms, the locker rooms, the library, the auditorium, the faculty bathrooms, all of those things. We would want to make sure that there are baskets in all of those different situations. And so that would kind of fulfill the 3 main goals of accessibility, convenience, and discretion. So my original plan for this was to get funding from grants, for the most part, to cover the the cost of the first year. So I looked into different grants from the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne. They offered a lot of funds for like first-time grant applications or for health-focused projects. So these, or there also are different organizations that are offering grants for similar projects to these. So I was looking into different things like that, and I was planning to apply for those to cover the cost of the first year. And then going forward, just being practical, I'm graduating this year, and I'm not wanting to continue applying for grants year after year to make sure that this project continues on. So I was planning to ask that the school would build this into their maintenance budget alongside things like toilet paper and other necessities in the restroom. I was also planning to reach out to brands to see if they would be able to offer bulk options that would be cheaper, or if they would be able to sell their products to the school at manufacturing cost, which would be reduced, or even some may have been willing to donate. So then the plan would be that these products could be restocked by the maintenance staff as they are taking care of things in the restroom, as they're restocking other things like toilet paper and cleaning the restroom. And then we would monitor their use to see if the estimates of how much products are needed, if that's accurate, and see if we need more or if we need less and things like that. So this would be an example of what this would look like. It's just a basket. It has pads, it has tampons, and it has different options for different students so they can have their preference. It's very simple, but it's effective. So these are the cost estimates of what I think about it could be for a year. So this is based on the 10 total current restrooms that we have. I hope I did the math right on that. I hope I counted all the bathrooms. And it's based on about 350 students, and then as well as factoring in faculty members. And it's assuming about 2 or 3 products for a student per period. And it's these estimates, this is based on a more expensive brand, so hopefully it would be a cheaper, there would be a cheaper option here that, through wholesalers, things like that. So the cost per year, it's about $2,500, sorry. But the cost per student is about $7 per year, which I think, to me, that seems pretty reasonable to make sure that all these students are covered and make sure that they don't have any issues with accessing period products and things like that. So just to take us on a side tangent for a second, this will be relevant in the next part, I promise. So in the summer, my dad connected me with the CEO of this brand called Salt. And so Salt is a company that specializes in reusable period products. So these are things like menstrual cups, period underwear, things like that. So these are more long-term solutions as opposed to your disposable pads or tampons. Salt works in third world countries, and they solve period poverty in those places where they have even less access to these things. So I was connected with their CEO, and I was able to talk to her, and she was a really excellent sounding board for me. She helped me think through the whole idea of baskets versus machines and things like that. But then she also was willing to offer that Salt would be able to sell these products, the menstrual cups and the period underwear, to CLHS at their manufacturing costs. So that means it would be much cheaper than buying them outright. These products would create like a long-term solution for students that are struggling with period poverty. And who are struggling to afford period products. And they wouldn't be in the bathroom with the rest of the supplies, but they could be kept in the nurse's office so that students who are struggling with this could easily go to her and they could say, hey, I need some products that would help me long term. And so that was a really helpful conversation to have, and that was something that I was thinking about as I was going about the project, is how can this be implemented? Is there a way that this makes sense? So side tangent over. So in the next kind of phase, after I had my plan and I had a project proposal, the next phase was meeting with Mr. Ferking, who then directed me to meet with Mrs. Oberlin. So in my meeting with Mr. Ferking, he was very supportive of the idea, and he was on board, I think. And then he suggested that I talk with Mrs. Oberlin. And Mrs. Oberlin, she found that there was Title II grant money through FWCS. And she thought that this funding, it's for the clinic, and she thought that this could be used to cover the cost of the hygiene products. And so she's like, I'll look into it. And she got back to me, and it can be used for that, which is super exciting. So that is, this funding can carry over year to year, so I'm not having to apply to grants, which is a pretty time-consuming process. And it's also something that I don't have to keep worrying about it and make sure that it should be in place going forward. So this project will be able to be continued. So that was incredibly exciting for me to have all of that happen so quickly. It was very exciting. So as far as implementing this and making sure that it actually happens, with the funding, that will not be available in this calendar year. It'll be available in the next academic year. So originally, I would have loved to get this project up and running this year, but just due to that, it's not going to be possible, and that's all right. But we're making a plan right now to figure out how this can best be implemented when I won't be here. So we'll be ordering products, and we'll kind of be building a stockpile so that way that these products can be restocked. And I am planning to meet with the maintenance staff in the upcoming days to discuss what exactly it would look like for them to be maintaining these kind of things. We want to make sure that these products are getting regularly resupplied. I mean, that was part of the issue with the machines before is that they weren't being supplied. So making sure that this is like a consistent thing. We, as we're doing that, I also want to be monitoring the amount of products that are getting used to know if the estimates that we have, if they're accurate or not, or if we should budget for more, if we should budget for less. And then we can use those kind of estimates to figure out how much we should order going forward. And then in addition with this, when I was presenting this project, there was concerns about like misuse or students taking excessive amounts of these products if they are really struggling with these things. So if we notice that there are large amounts of these products disappearing, that I think will be a great time to look at the alternatives through places like SALT that would put some long-term solutions in for people that are really struggling with this issue. And then there was also some concerns raised about like students misusing these and just like leaving them over the bathroom or like misusing them. But at my middle school, we had a similar program, and I didn't really ever see that getting misused. So I would like to believe that that would be the same. That would be the same here at Concordia. And we were in middle school then, so I feel like that's even a worst case scenario for behavior. So also, the school is expanding, so knowing that there will be more restrooms in the school. So I think I want to make sure that that's accounted for as those restrooms are up and running. We want to make sure that we have baskets and we have products ready to go for whenever those are open. So my role, although I won't be here, I'm planning to have as much of a plan in place that will eliminate the work for everyone who is still here, who is still involved. I want to have as much of that in place before I graduate as possible. And then I also am planning to be like easy to contact so that if there are any issues that arrive, I can troubleshoot those then. So kind of reflecting back on this project, there have been some challenges. Mostly to me, it was just hard to find time to work on this project. I'm pretty busy, I keep myself pretty busy. So I think it was just hard to be able to set aside a chunk of time for that. And so I think I just caused myself stress that probably didn't need to be there if I had just planned my time maybe a little bit better. And then I think it was also just challenging to kind of consider the drawbacks and consider the things like that. But overall, I think this has been a very, very encouraging project to get to work on. It's been really rewarding to see it come together. It came together fairly quickly. It really just was several conversations that it was like a domino effect. And then I was like, wow, it's funded, and that's most of the project. So I think it was really rewarding to see that. I think also, just as I've been working on this, it's been really cool to see the amount of people that it's really connected with. I've had students who have come up to me and be like, wow, that's really cool that you're putting this in place. I'm really excited to see this. But then I've been talking about it with different adults, and I think a lot of them have been very supportive, but then a lot of them have also offered connections and people that they're like, oh, you could talk to this person. They would have a good idea about how you could do this. And I just think that's been really cool to feel like that support as I've been doing this project. So that's been really awesome as well. Overall, I think what I've learned is that I think people are very willing to get involved if you just ask them. So I think that's been a very encouraging thing to learn. So just taking that jump and taking that risk to just ask people for help and see what they're willing to help with. Yes, so next I have a list of people that I want to thank. I want to thank Mrs. Oberlin. She's a huge reason why all of this is happening. So a round of applause for her, please. Thank you. I also want to thank my coach, Alissa. Thank you so much for all of your support and being such a great sounding board and helping me think through all of these different things. Mrs. Erdos, thank you. You have sent me so many you've been on college tours and you've seen things like this implemented in bathrooms at different colleges, and you've taken pictures for me, and I've very much appreciated that. You've also just been a great sounding board and full of ideas and very helpful as I kind of navigated the process around the school. So thank you so much for that. I also want to thank Mr. Frere King, who was helpful as well in kind of thinking through what practically needs to happen, and Sherry Hoger, the CEO of SALT. I want to thank my parents, who have been great sounding boards as well. And to everyone else who's kind of helped me think through this, thank you so much. And to everyone who is here tonight, thank you. I appreciate your support. So with that, does anyone have any questions? Yes, Mr. Jane?
So I think one of the big things is getting the word out, educating people that this
Yes.
is an option. That we're going to think that. So you thought about, especially now being here next year, how are you going to get the word out to incoming freshmen or to juniors next year? Like, been in school for a couple years, this isn't a thing. How are you going to do the education?
Absolutely. I'm hoping that a lot of it will just kind of be intuitive. So I think like it should be something that you notice in the restrooms. So that you can kind of just walk in and see, oh, that's an option now. But I do think that that is something that like I have to think through and consider how exactly that's going to happen. But I'm hoping that also word of mouth will be able to play kind of a part of that. It's like people can notice it and they can talk to their friends about it and share. And so I'm hoping that'll be a part of it as well. Thank you. Yes.
The like salt products
Yes.
that you have in the nurse's office.
Mm-hmm.
How will you let people know that like that also is an option?
Absolutely. So I think with that, what I'd like to do is kind of have like some kind of like note or like brochure kind of thing in the baskets that are in the restroom. So that way, if you're kind of like looking around them, or if you notice that they're like empty or something, that there'd be one. If you notice they're empty, there's something you can do to like get them restocked. But then if you are noticing that you're like needing more products, then you would be able to go. There'd kind of be like a note telling you like go to the nurse's office. She has solutions like that. I think that would be kind of the plan. Yes.
Kathryn, did you come across any research, or did you go down the path of finding out what local high schools or middle schools, do they have anything in place that you would know of, say at Homestead?
Yes. I did not as much locally, but I do know like nationwide there's been a lot. I do think there have been a fair amount of projects that are like pretty similar to this. I remember talking to someone at Lakewood Park who said that a similar project had been implemented by a student there. It kind of all blends together because I've just heard like a lot of different stories about students who have done similar things. But I do think there are a fair amount of other schools in the area that are offering similar things.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions? Yes. Yeah, I'm sure.
So you mentioned like there's 25 states where like this.
Yes.
Legislation like this has to be provided. Have you taken any steps in contacting your state study representatives? Hey, we should do this. It's a good thing.
That is a great idea. I honestly had not gotten that far. I was just kind of focused on like making this happen for Concordia. But I think that would be a really great like next step of even just like calling my senators and making that happen. I think would be really awesome if we can get a little movement. Yeah, so ideas for any of you other juniors out there. Yes. Yes.
Maybe related, maybe not necessarily, but are you planning to be a part of the Honors College at Belmont?
I am not planning to be a part of the Honors College at Belmont. It's been a really great experience here and I'm very grateful for it, but ultimately when I was like comparing it, it didn't really offer enough of a benefit to make it worth the extra work, to me at least. But it was definitely something, and also it was college application season and I was really struggling to want to write one more essay. So, yes. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, yes.
So were you the one last year who put period products in the bathroom, junior bathroom, or was that somebody else?
That was someone else. I was not the person to do that, but that was actually a really great example of seeing that like these products would get used, there's like a need for it, but then also these products wouldn't get misused. So that was there. I don't know who did that. I don't know if that was a senior last year or if that was a staff member or something like that. But just, I think that was a great example to be able to pull out and be like, there was actually a similar, basically the exact same thing as what we want to implement in place last year, and there was no issues with any of that. So I think that was a really great example to be able to pull from, and it helped, I think, kind of inspire this. So, yes?
Do you think you would try to like implement a similar initiative when you're coming to Belmont next year?
I would have to look around. I mean, it's a much bigger campus, so it's a little bit different than our school here that has like 10 bathrooms as opposed to 10 in one building. But I think if that's not something that's in place there, then maybe that'd be something to look at and kind of continue that path. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it.